Makeba umthani yakuyona ingane yakho. Ingane kaMfweni uqhawe. Umkakho wanginika le mali wathi ngimgcinele le mfihlo.
Hello everyone, welcome back to ASR, African Stories Realized. This is our weekly review of The Wife Season 3. Don't forget to like and subscribe, let's get into it. Episode 34 picks up at the Zulu home as Hlomu attempts to purge herself of alcohol. Hlomu would then meet up with the traditional healer from last week and bribe him to consult with her without Mcele. It's at this consultation that Hlomu gets confirmation that Mtania is indeed Gawe's daughter. Hlomu immediately called Gawe to tell him the news, requesting him to meet her at the healer's hut. Meanwhile, back at the Zulu home, Mcele is looking everywhere for Hlomu, who isn't answering her phone because she's still at the healer's hut with Gawe. Back at the healer's hut, Gawe confronts Hlomu and the healer reminds them that Mtania's life hangs in the balance, and to save her, a ritual must be carried out to not only introduce Mtania to the ancestors as Gawe's daughter, but also to plead for their forgiveness. After the ritual at the hospital, Hlomu requested that the healer lie to Mcele about Mtania's condition, and when they arrived at the Zulu home, the healer cleansed Mcele for causing Hlomu's miscarriage back in season 1. When Mcele and Hlomu returned to the hospital, Mtania had woken up from her coma. While Hlomu was running around and trying to save her daughter, big things were unfolding in Rustenburg after the mine collapsed last week, as the chief and his right-hand man, Mulifi, scrambled to do damage control and distance themselves from the Zama-Zama activities in the northwest. Naledi suggested that they compensate the victims' families and pay for the funerals of those who have lost their lives, which the chief rejected. Meanwhile, Tidi seems to be going through a psychotic break as she struggles to accept that Sillo is dead, behaving as if he was still alive. At a press conference to address the mining accident, the royal family was confronted by the local press, questioning their involvement. The chief deflected by pointing the finger at Sillo, who is no longer here to defend himself. After the press conference, Mulifi informed the chief that they are almost out of money. That's when the chief suggested they sell the big diamond they have in the safe, and it's at this point they discover that the Zulu brothers had stolen it. The episode ends at the hospital with the traditional healer refusing to accept Mcele's money and confessing everything to Mcele, that he was paid to lie by Hlomu and that Gawe is Mtania's real father. Episode 35 picks up with Naledi doing damage control and publicly announcing that they will compensate all victims' families, pay for their funerals, and hire a private investigator to find out who else is responsible for the mine collapse, which her father wasn't happy with. Naledi would also go out of her way to assist at the local clinic, where Tsietsi joined her to help treat patients and give support, which made Sefako a bit jealous. Back at the Zulu home, Gawe arrives with Hlomu and Mtania, while Mcele takes out his frustration and anger at the taxi rank. Back in Rustenburg, Tidi overhears the chief and Mulifi implicating themselves in the mine collapse. Tidi immediately shares this information with Naledi, who Tsietsi had just failed to profess his love to. Due to Tidi's recent behavior, Naledi did not believe her, and the episode ends with Sefako planning a romantic dinner for Naledi as their relationship continues to grow stronger. Episode 36 picks up at the Zulu home with the arrival of Toli's mother, who wasted no time making herself at home and scolding Sambulo for not inviting her to their wedding. Meanwhile in Rustenburg, Naledi still doesn't want to believe that her father is responsible for any wrongdoing. Sefako plans a getaway for him and Naledi, but Naledi insists that she can't go on vacation until she receives the findings from her private investigator. Unlucky for her, the private investigator was assassinated by Mulifi before he could present his findings to Naledi. Naledi and Sefako eventually leave for their getaway, where Sefako proposed with a ring and Naledi accepted. Back at the Zulu home, Toli updates her mother on the Zulu family and Makumalo insists that it's the perfect time to strike. Meanwhile, chaos has erupted in the Zulu home that started with Gawe trying to take Mtanya away from Hlomu despite Sambulo trying to intervene. Mcele would eventually answer Hlomu's call and come to her rescue. Gawe and Mcele brawled for a while, and just as it looked like nothing could separate the two, the episode ends with Nkosana arriving to break up the fight and restore order. Butom Dala is back. The first episode today had to be the longest by far. I think they can do better balancing out the durations and the quality of the content across all 3 episodes. Goli is beginning to shine a bit more because there were a few episodes there they weren't giving her anything to do. What I want to know from you guys is, do you think that Goli was the one that killed Ngoba? We'll be back next week with another review. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is ASR for the love of African filmmaking and storytelling.